You say, "God's gone quiet." You whisper it late at night, staring at the ceiling in a dark room lit only by the blue light of your phone. You sit in silence and feel nothing. No voice, no presence, just emptiness. And you wonder, where is he? But let's be honest. Before you even gave God a chance to speak, you filled your head with everything else. You woke up and immediately plugged into the Matrix thumb, scrolling through TikTok, swiping through Instagram stories, letting the voices of strangers shape your thoughts before the voice of your Creator ever had a shot. You filled your soul with noise, then blamed God for the silence. You consumed highlight reels, trends, opinions, and jokes that laugh at the very sin Jesus died for. You spent your energy watching people chase everything God calls empty and then expect to feel full. You don't want God. You want a dopamine hit with a Bible verse attached to it. You don't want presence. You want performance. You want God to shout louder than the noise you refuse to turn off. But he won't. God is not in competition with your distractions. He won't fight for a place you never offered him. He speaks in stillness, and we've trained ourselves to be terrified of silence. Stillness exposes us. It strips away the noise, the excuses, the fake confidence. It reveals how shallow we've become. It confronts us with how unfamiliar we are with the sound of God's voice. And so we fill the void. We turn up music that numbs instead of heals. We binge shows that desensitize instead of awaken. We keep ourselves busy enough to never be convicted. Then when our hearts feel dry, we blame God. The truth is, he never stopped speaking. You just stopped listening. You want fire from heaven but won't light a match in the secret place. You want answers, but you haven't asked the right questions. You want direction, but you've ignored every detour sign God's placed in front of you. You've shut your ears with compromise, closed your Bible with boredom, and muted heaven with the volume of your own life. In 1 Kings 19, Elijah didn't hear God in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a whisper. God whispered. Because God doesn't raise his voice to match your chaos, he invites you to lower your volume to match his voice. But how can you hear a whisper in a life so loud? You're over here asking God for signs while your Bible collects dust on your shelf. You cry out, "Speak to me," but your prayer life consists of rushed words while half watching YouTube. You say, "I'm waiting on God," but your version of waiting is passive, lazy, distracted, and spiritually numb. Let's be real. If God actually answered most of us right now, we wouldn't recognize his voice because we haven't spent time learning its sound. Jesus said in John 10:27, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." So maybe the real question isn't, why isn't God speaking? Maybe it's, do you even know what he sounds like? You can't binge carnality all week and expect clarity on Sunday. You can't feed your flesh and expect your spirit to be sharp. You can't live in rebellion and expect revelation. The silence you feel might not be abandonment. It might be mercy. God withholding his voice because he knows you're not ready to obey it. Why would God give you a fresh word when you've buried the last one he gave you? Obedience is the soil where clarity grows, and you've been asking for rain without ever planting the seed. You say you're spiritually dry. Then dig. You say you can't hear him. Then shut everything else off. You say he feels distant. Then take a step toward him. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." So stop blaming God. You haven't been near. You've been busy, distracted, addicted to noise and comfort and culture. You've been reaching for entertainment instead of eternity. You've been scrolling for answers in a feed full of lies. You've been numbing yourself with comfort and calling it peace. You want the voice of God to fit into your schedule, your rhythm, your mood. But he is not interested in fitting in. He is interested in transforming you. And transformation doesn't come through convenience. It comes through consecration. So turn off the phone, turn off the noise. Sit in the quiet until the discomfort fades. Open your Bible and read it like your life depends on it, because it does. Pray until your heart breaks. Worship until the walls fall. Wait until the whisper comes, because he is speaking, but only the surrendered will hear. So no, God isn't silent. You've just been too loud, too fast, too distracted, and too disobedient to hear him. But the moment you get still, The moment you slow down, silence the chaos, and finally listen, you'll realize he's been speaking all along, and he never stopped.